Admiral Oren's eyebrows shot up in surprise as the holographic alien dignitary, looking like a mix between a jellyfish and a disco ball, wobbled impatiently. Pay tribute, human, the alien demanded. The Galactic Council has decreed that all species must contribute to the greater good of the universe. Oren pinched the bridge of his nose, wondering if it was too early for a drink. It was only 9 a.m. Earth Standard Time, but hey, it was 5 o'clock somewhere in the galaxy, right? Listen, Sparkles, Oren began, ignoring the alien's offended shimmer. We humans have a long and proud tradition of telling authority where they can shove their demands. It's practically our national pastime. The alien's tentacles twitched in confusion. But the Council's word is law. You must comply. Oren leaned back in his chair, a mischievous glint in his eye. Oh, we'll send you something, all right? Just sit tight and keep your fancy light show running. As the hologram flickered out, Oren turned to his aide. Lieutenant, get me the president. Tell her it's time to dust off the old warships. We're about to give the Galactic Council a tribute they'll never forget. Across Earth's shipyards, mothballed vessels were revived. Crews scrambled aboard with a mix of excitement and confusion. Meanwhile, on the Galactic Council's capital world of Zenthia Prime, because apparently creativity wasn't a requirement for naming planets, the alien dignitary Zixblorp I-17th was practically bouncing with glee. The humans are sending tribute, Zixblorp gurgled to the assembled council. We've successfully cowed another species into submission. The council chamber erupted in a chorus of clicks, whistles, and sounds that suspiciously resembled whoopee cushions. Alien high fives were exchanged, or at least the closest approximation, given that half the species present didn't have hands. Little did they know, humanity's idea of tribute was about to crash their party harder than a frat boy with a keg and something to prove. As Earth's fleet approached Zenthia Prime, Admiral Oren stood on the bridge of the flagship, the USS Middlefinger, renamed for the occasion, much to the chagrin of the original USS Theodore Roosevelt's namesake. Sir, his communications officer called out, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. Oren nodded. On screen, let's see what our new overlords have to say. Zixblorp's shimmering form appeared, practically vibrating with anticipation. Ah, humans, you've arrived with your tribute. We knew you'd see reason. Now, if you'll just land your ships and offload your offerings. Oren held up a hand, cutting off the alien mid-sentence. About that, Sparkles. We humans have a saying, don't count your chickens before they hatch, though in your case it might be more like, don't count your gelatinous offspring before they... Whatever it is you do, confusion rippled across Zixblorp's translucent body. Chickens? Offspring? What are you babbling about, human? Oren grinned, the kind of grin that would make a shark reconsider its life choices. Let me spell it out for you, Disco Ball. We're not here to pay tribute. We're here to collect it. The alien's tentacles went limp with shock. But the Council's decree. Oren leaned forward, eyes gleaming. Yeah, about that. We took a vote back on Earth. Turns out we're not big fans of taxation without representation. So, we figured we'd pop by and renegotiate the terms of this little arrangement. As if on cue, the rest of Earth's fleet dropped out of hyperspace, surrounding Zenthia Prime in a dazzling display of military might and questionable decision-making. Zixblorp's hologram flickered, struggling to process this turn of events. This is unprecedented. No species has ever dared to challenge the Council's authority. Oren shrugged. Well, there's a first time for everything. Now, shall we discuss your tribute to us? Or would you prefer a practical demonstration of why humans have trust issues with authority? Panic spread through the Galactic Council chambers faster than a viral cat video. Meanwhile, humanity settled in for what promised to be the galaxy's most awkward parent-teacher conference. And so, humanity made its grand entrance onto the galactic stage. Not with a whimper, but with a bang and a hefty dose of, come at me, broth energy. The universe would never be the same. Somewhere out there, the spirit of Theodore Roosevelt was either beaming with pride or face-palming for eternity. Either way, it was going to be one hell of a story for the history books, assuming, of course, that history wasn't written by sore loser aliens with a grudge against the upstart humans who crashed their cosmic party. As the Galactic Council's collective jaws, or whatever passed for jaws among the myriad species, hit the floor, Admiral Oren couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. It wasn't every day you got to watch an entire intergalactic governing body have an existential crisis in real time. Breaking the stunned silence, Oren said, about that tribute, we were thinking something along the lines of, I don't know, autonomy, a seat on your fancy council, and maybe throw in a few resource-rich planets for good measure. as a gesture of goodwill. Zix Blorp, who had been doing a remarkable impression of a malfunctioning lava lamp, finally managed to pull itself together. This is outrageous. You can't just show up with a fleet and demand. Can't we, though? Orin interrupted, raising an eyebrow. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that exactly what you folks did? The only difference is we brought the muscle to back it up. Meanwhile, on the surface of Zenthia Prime, chaos reigned. Species that had never agreed on anything, let alone seen eye to eye, were now united in panic. What do we do? Shrieked Goral, the unpronounceable being that resembled a sentient fern mixed with a pipe organ. I say we fight, declared Crix, the warrior representative of a race resembling angry pine cones. We outnumber them 1,000 to 1. You idiot, hissed Supreme Chancellor Void, a being of pure darkness with a voice like a grumpy black hole. Did you see the size of those ships? They could turn us to cosmic dust before we even figure out which end of a blaster to hold. On the USS Middle Finger, Admiral Orin was thoroughly enjoying the spectacle. He turned to his chief science officer, Dr. Kai, a brilliant woman who had once hacked an alien vending machine to dispense free snacks during first contact. Dr. Kai, what's your read on their defenses? Without looking up from her console, Dr. Kai snorted. Defenses? They've got about as much military might as a kindergarten class armed with spitballs. No offense to kindergartners, of course. Orin nodded, smiling. Of course, kindergartners are far more organized. Turning back to the sputtering hologram of Zix Blorp, Orin decided it was time to twist the knife. For an all-powerful galactic council, you folks seem a bit underprepared. Did you really think you could go around bullying species into submission without someone eventually calling your bluff? Zix Blorp's color shifted to a nauseating shade of purple. We've never needed military might before. All other species simply complied with our wisdom and benevolence. Orin nodded. So, less all-powerful, more really good at peer pressure. Got it. As the reality of their situation set in, the Galactic Council realized they were up against a species that not only refused to follow the rules but took a twisted pleasure in rewriting them. In the back of the council chambers, a small species resembling talking potatoes began to chuckle. When questioned, one of them shrugged their stubby appendages and said, "We tried to warn you about the humans. Nobody ever listens to the Sputniks." As negotiations, if you could call them that, continued, it became clear that the galaxy was in for a major shakeup. Humanity, it seemed, was here to stay whether the Galactic Council liked it or not. And as for Admiral Orin, he was already drafting his memoir, How I Threatened an Entire Galaxy and Got Away with It, a guide to interstellar diplomacy and really big guns. The universe would never be the same. But then again, where's the fun in staying the same? As humanity prepared to take its place on the galactic stage, one thing was certain. It was going to be one hell of a show. The negotiations stretched into their third galactic standard day, which, because why make anything simple, turned out to be about 37 Earth hours long. Admiral Orin found himself in the surreal position of explaining human concepts to increasingly bewildered alien diplomats. So, let me get this straight, said Glup, a gelatinous being resembling a sentient bowl of lime jello. You humans actually choose your leaders and then replace them regularly on purpose? Orin nodded, suppressing a smirk. We call it democracy. It's like a cosmic game of musical chairs. But with more attack ads and fewer party hats. The assembled aliens exchanged horrified, fascinated looks. Supreme Chancellor Void's inky form seemed to ripple with disbelief. But how do you maintain order? Who tells the masses what to think? Oh, we have something for that too, Orin replied cheerfully. We call it social media. It's like a planet-wide game of telephone, but with more cat videos and conspiracy theories. As the aliens tried to process this information, Dr. Kai sidled up to Orin with a mischievous glint in her eye. Sir, I think it's time we introduce them to the concept of memes. For diplomatic purposes, Orin's grin could have powered a small star system. Dr. Kai, I like the way you think. Cue up the best of Earth's internet culture. Let's show these cosmic bureaucrats what they're dealing with. What followed was a crash course in human culture that left the Galactic Council questioning not just their authority but the very nature of sapient life in the universe. They watched, horrified and fascinated, as humans turned pictures of grumpy cats into galaxy-wide sensations, created entire languages out of colorful building blocks called emojis, and somehow managed to argue about the color of a dress for years. And this is how you communicate? Asked Zix Blorp, his tentacles twisting in knots as he tried to decipher a particularly spicy meme. Oh no, Orin said, barely containing his laughter. This is how we waste time. Our actual communication is much more sophisticated. He paused for dramatic effect before adding, we use TikTok. The resulting chaos in the council chambers was everything Orin could have hoped for and more. Species that had never agreed on anything were suddenly united in their utter bafflement at humanity's antics. Meanwhile, back on Earth, news of the standoff had leaked. Humanity, true to form, responded with a mix of panic, humor, and inexplicable creativity. Hashtags like #AliTribute and #GalacticTaxEvasion trended worldwide. Meme factories worked overtime, churning out image macros faster than the speed of light. One particularly viral post showed Earth itself wearing sunglasses with the caption, "Sorry, Galactic Council. We can't hear you over the sound of our awesomeness." As screenshots of these reactions made their way to Zenthia Prime, the Galactic Council found itself facing an uncomfortable truth. They were dealing with a species that not only refused to be intimidated, but seemed to thrive on chaos and absurdity. Perhaps, ventured Crix, the angry pine-cone-like warrior, we should reconsider our approach. These humans seem unpredictable. Supreme Chancellor Void, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly spoke up. "I've made a decision," it announced, its voice echoing ominously. "We shall grant the humans a seat on the council." A collective gasp rippled through the chamber. "But Chancellor," protested Zix Blorp, "they threatened us, mocked us, and introduced us to something called Rick-rolling." "Exactly," Void replied, a hint of amusement in its cosmic voice. "Can you imagine trying to subjugate a species like that? It would be easier to herd photons." As the news reached the USS Middlefinger, Admiral Orin allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Humanity had faced its first galactic crisis and emerged victorious, armed with nothing but wit, audacity, and an internet connection. "Well, folks," he announced to his crew, "looks like we've officially joined the galactic community. God help the universe." As Earth prepared to take its place among the stars, the rest of the galaxy watched with a mixture of fear, fascination, and the growing suspicion that things were about to get a whole lot more interesting. Somewhere in the vast expanse of space, the cosmic entity known as Karma laughed, knowing humanity's knack for chaos was about to be unleashed on an unsuspecting universe. The stage was set for humanity's grand galactic adventure. All that remained was to see how spectacularly they could shake things up. After all, if there's one thing humans excel at, it's taking a perfectly orderly system and introducing just enough chaos to make things interesting. As the dust settled on humanity's grand entrance into galactic politics, the real work began. Integrating Earth into the cosmic community proved to be a task that would test the patience, creativity, and sanity of everyone involved. The first order of business was selecting Earth's representative to the Galactic Council. After much debate, televised mud wrestling matches, and at least one incident involving a rogue AI and a toaster, humanity decided on a novel approach. They would send a different representative each Earth month, chosen by a combination of global vote, random lottery, and something called viral worthiness. The Galactic Council was less than thrilled. "You mean to tell me," Zix Blorp sputtered during the first official session with Earth's presence, "that last month we were negotiating trade deals with a quantum physicist, and this month our point of contact is, what did you call it? A social media influencer?" Earth's current representative, a bubbly personality known as Stardust 2000, beamed at the assembly. "That's right, cosmic cuties. Don't forget to smash that like button on the Galactic Council's official ZorpTube channel." Supreme Chancellor Void's inky form seemed to sigh. "I'm beginning to think we've made a terrible mistake." But for all the chaos humans brought to the galactic stage, they also brought innovation. Within weeks of joining the Council, Earth had introduced concepts that left other species reeling. One was the Galactic Meme Exchange, a system for translating and sharing humor across species, which quickly became the most popular form of diplomacy. Another was intergalactic food trucks, because why have boring state dinners when you could have a cosmic cook-off? And there was the universal coffee break, a mandatory pause in all council proceedings for caffeine, or equivalent stimulants, and snacks, which dramatically boosted productivity. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the planet was experiencing its own growing pains as it adjusted to its new cosmic status. Alien tourism became the next big thing, with extraterrestrial visitors flocking to Earth to experience such exotic concepts as all-you-can-eat buffets, reality TV, and Florida. One particularly memorable incident occurred when a group of Zorblins, a species that communicates entirely through interpretive dance, attempted to order at a drive-thru. The resulting 3-hour performance, titled Ode to the MCB, became an overnight sensation and was later nominated for a Tony Award. Earth's scientific community was having a field day. Access to advanced alien technology led to breakthroughs in everything from energy production to medicine, although there was that awkward moment when scientists realized what they thought was a revolutionary new power source was actually the alien equivalent of a lava lamp. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Cultural misunderstandings abounded. The Fremen, a gaseous species, were deeply offended by Earth's use of air fresheners, viewing it as a form of genocide. A well-meaning attempt to introduce aliens to Earth sports resulted in a galaxy-wide ban on cricket after a match lasted 3 years. And let's not even talk about the diplomatic incident caused by introducing the concept of pineapple on pizza to the Anovi, a species that viewed fruit as sacred and tomato sauce as blasphemous. As Earth stumbled its way through galactic politics, making friends and enemies in equal measure, Admiral Oren found himself frequently called upon to smooth ruffled feathers, or scales, or tentacles, depending on the species involved. He mused to Dr. Kai during one particularly chaotic council session. I'm starting to think that humanity's real superpower isn't our technology or our military might. Dr. Kai raised an eyebrow. Oh, and what would that be? Oren gestured to the scene before them, where Earth's latest representative, a part-time dog walker and aspiring ukulele player, was teaching a group of multidimensional beings the Macarena. Humanity's arrival on the galactic stage became an undeniable fact. The universe would never be the same. For better or worse, humanity had come armed with memes, a questionable sense of humor, and an unshakable belief that anything was possible with enough coffee and Wi-Fi. As for the Galactic Council, they were learning a valuable lesson. Never underestimate a species that can turn shooting themselves into space via giant explosions into a viable method of transportation. The adventure was just beginning, and the galaxy had better buckle up. If there's one thing humans excel at, it's turning the impossible into reality, usually with a side of chaos and a witty one-liner. As Earth continued to integrate into the galactic community, it became clear that humanity's impact was spreading far beyond the council chambers. Across the cosmos, species that had once viewed the universe with jaded indifference found themselves infected by humanity's brand of chaos and creativity. Take the Great Vogon Poetry Revolution of 2785 Galactic Standard Calendar, for example. Inspired by Earth's slam poetry nights, the famously dull Vogons organized their first-ever poetry slam. The event, which lasted 6 standard months and caused the spontaneous combustion of 3 uninhabited moons, was hailed as the greatest improvement in Vogon culture since the invention of the bureaucratic form triplicate. Then there was the Beck, a hive mind species that had never known individuality, until they discovered human social media. The resulting identity crisis led to the Great Tick Bifurcation, where each member of the hive chose a unique username and started their own blog. Galactic sociologists are still trying to untangle the implications. Back on Earth, the planet was experiencing its own renaissance. The influx of alien knowledge and technology sparked a new age of innovation and exploration. Some highlights included the development of the quantum toaster, capable of perfectly browning bread across multiple dimensions simultaneously. The establishment of the first human colony on Mars, which immediately declared itself too cool for Earth and started its own reality TV show. The invention of universal translator gum, allowing anyone to chew their way to fluency in over 5,000 galactic languages. Side effects may include spontaneous tentacle growth and a temporary addiction to ionized plasma. Meanwhile, Admiral Oren had become a celebrity across the galaxy. His unique blend of deadpan humor and strategic brilliance made him the go-to mediator for interspecies disputes. "I never thought I'd see the day," Oren muttered during one particularly tense negotiation between the rock-like Petons and the gaseous heroines, when I'd have to explain the concept of personal space to a sentient boulder. Dr. Kai, ever at his side, smirked. "Still better than the time you had to clarify that cloud computing wasn't actually sentient atmospheric data storage." As humanity's influence spread, so did its quirks. Alien species began adopting human customs, often with hilarious results. The crystalline entities of Riel 7 became obsessed with human fashion, leading to the galaxy's first and last sentient gemstone runway show. The Zygon shapeshifters discovered cosplay and promptly lost half their population to Comic-Con. The dolls, after binge-watching Earth sitcoms, tried to incorporate laugh tracks into their extermination routines. Exterminate, exterminate, followed by canned laughter. Perhaps the most profound change came in the form of the galactic internet, soon known as the Mosphere. Built on quantum entanglement and cat videos, it connected species across the cosmos in ways never before imagined. Overnight, galactic productivity plummeted as billions of beings became addicted to sharing, liking and commenting on content ranging from humans reacting to alien food to 10 quantum singularities you won't believe exist. The Galactic Council, in a rare moment of foresight, attempted to regulate this new medium, but their efforts were swiftly rendered moot as their stern warnings were remixed into what became the galaxy's most popular dance craze, the bureaucratic boogie. As Earth celebrated its centennial as a member of the galactic community, Admiral Oren stood on the observation deck of the newly christened space station Me Supreme, gazing out at the star-studded expanse. "You know, Dr. Kai," he mused, "when we first made contact, I worried that humanity might lose its identity in the vast cosmic ocean." Dr. Kai, eyes twinkling with amusement, nodded. And instead, Oren chuckled, gesturing to a passing ship shaped like a giant rubber duck. "The latest in quantum propulsion technology. We've managed to convince the entire galaxy to embrace its inner weird. I'm not sure if that's humanity's greatest achievement, or its most terrifying legacy." Just then, a notification chimed on their comm devices. The latest galactic meme was trending. An image of Earth with the caption, "That's no moon. It's a space station of chaos." Humanity had not only joined the galactic community, it had transformed it. The universe, once vast and serious, had learned to laugh, meme, and never, ever take itself too seriously. Somewhere in the great cosmic beyond, the spirit of Douglas Adams nodded in approval. The galaxy had finally found its towel, and it was covered in emojis. As humanity's influence continued to ripple across the cosmos, even the most serious and ancient galactic institutions found themselves swept up in the tide of human-inspired madness. The Galactic Academy of Sciences, a venerable institution older than some stars, was no exception. It all started when Dr. Kai, in a fit of caffeine-induced brilliance, submitted a paper titled Schrödinger's Meme, the quantum superposition of viral content in multi-species social networks. The paper, which combined cutting-edge physics with an analysis of why everyone found Grumpy Cat hilarious, was initially dismissed as a joke, until it correctly predicted the outcomes of the next 3 galactic elections, based solely on meme trends. Overnight, mimics became the hottest field of study in the galaxy. The halls of the Academy, once filled with the somber muttering of serious scientists, now echoed with laughter and the occasional spontaneous dance-off. Admiral Oren, watching this transformation with a mixture of pride and horror, couldn't help but comment, "We've turned the galaxy's brightest minds into a bunch of meme lords." "I'm not sure if we should be proud or terrified." Dr. Kai, now sporting a lab coat emblazoned with the words, "Meme Queen," just grinned. "Why not both?" Meanwhile, Earth's pop culture continued its relentless march across the stars. The intergalactic version of the Great British Bake Off became a smash hit, despite challenges like anti-gravity soufflés and ingredients that occasionally tried to eat the contestants. Human music, with its strange rhythms and inexplicable obsession with love songs, became the guilty pleasure of species across the galaxy. The sight of a Thaian warlord headbanging to heavy metal would haunt Oren's dreams for years. Earth idioms began creeping into galactic standard language, leading to hilarious misunderstandings. The phrase, "It's raining cats and dogs," caused a planet-wide panic on Felonus Prime, a world populated entirely by cat-like beings with a mortal fear of canines. But it wasn't all fun and memes. Humanity's penchant for thinking outside the box, another idiom that confused species unfamiliar with Earth storage methods, led to genuinely revolutionary breakthroughs. The development of quantum cuisine allowed diners to taste every possible variation of a dish simultaneously, though it occasionally caused taste-related existential crises. The invention of the empathy engine, a device that allowed beings to experience life from another species' perspective, led to a galaxy-wide group hug that lasted 3 standard weeks. The creation of time-dilated education pods allowed students to experience years of learning in mere hours. While effective, they were controversial due to the side effect of graduates developing inexplicable cravings for 20th-century Earth snack foods. As Earth prepared to host the first Galactic Olympics, events included Zerg gymnastics, photon surfing, and competitive bureaucracy. Admiral Oren found himself reflecting on humanity's journey. "You know, Dr. Kai," he said, watching as a team of Andromedans practiced their synchronized swimming routine in a pool of liquid nitrogen. "When we first joined the galactic community, I thought we'd be struggling to catch up for centuries." Dr. Kai nodded absently, adjusting her meme queen tiara. Instead, Oren gestured to the chaotic scene before them, where beings from across the cosmos mingled, laughed, and occasionally exploded. Some species just got really excited. "We've dragged the entire galaxy into our special brand of controlled chaos. We didn't adapt to them, they adapted to us." As if to punctuate his point, A nearby group of aliens broke into an impromptu rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody, each verse translated into a different galactic language. The universe, it seemed, had developed a sense of humor, and it was distinctly human. As night fell on the Olympic village, casting a soft glow on the gleaming spires of Earth's first truly galactic city, a sense of anticipation filled the air. Tomorrow, beings from across the cosmos would compete in events ranging from the sublime to the ridiculous, all in the name of unity, friendly competition, and the chance to win a medal that may or may not be made of condensed dark matter. Humanity had not just found its place among the stars. It had redecorated, thrown a party, and invited everyone. The galaxy would never be the same, and that, perhaps, was humanity's greatest achievement of all. As Admiral Oren and Dr. Kai made their way back to their quarters, a message flashed across the galactic news feeds. Breaking. Sentient black hole demands entry to Olympic synchronized swimming event, cites unfair discrimination against gravity-challenged beings. Oren sighed, a smile tugging at his lips. Just another day in paradise. Dr. Kai grinned, her eyes twinkling with the light of distant stars and the promise of new adventures. I wouldn't have it any other way, Admiral. I wouldn't have it any other way. And so, as Earth slept, the galaxy held its breath, wondering what new madness tomorrow would bring. Because if there's one thing the universe had learned, it's that where humans go, chaos, beautiful, brilliant, utterly unpredictable chaos, is sure to follow. As the Galactic Olympics kicked off with a ceremony that could only be described as psychedelically cosmic, the true extent of humanity's influence on intergalactic culture became apparent. The opening act featured a zero-gravity ballet performed by silicon-based lifeforms, set to a mashup of classical Earth music and what sounded suspiciously like a Martian dial tone. Admiral Oren, seated in the VIP section next to a being that resembled a sentient cumulus cloud, leaned over to Dr. Kai and whispered, "I think we may have gone too far." Dr. Kai, her meme queen, tiara now augmented with holographic cat ears, simply shrugged. "In for a penny, in for a galactic credit, Admiral." The games themselves were a spectacle that defied description. But let's try anyway. The 100-meter dash took an unexpected turn when a contestant from a high-gravity world accidentally created a localized singularity, leading to the first-ever race that finished before it started. Synchronized swimming became a four-dimensional event, with teams performing routines that existed simultaneously across multiple timelines. Judges needed temporal lobe enhancements just to score the performances. The shot-put competition was hastily redesigned after the Jovian team's warm-up throws achieved escape velocity and became impromptu satellites. Gymnastics expanded to include events like quantum tunneling floor routines and probability wave parallel bars, leading to some truly Schrödinger cat-like moments, where athletes were simultaneously sticking their landings and faceplanting. It wasn't just the athletic events that showcased humanity's impact. The cultural exchange happening on the sidelines was equally mind-bending. A group of Arcturian energy beings became obsessed with Earth's reality TV, leading to the creation of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Andromeda Edition. The galactic food court turned into a fusion cuisine nightmare with dishes like Romulan ale-battered fish, Venusian chips, and quantum foam whip with dark matter sprinkles. An impromptu interspecies karaoke contest broke out, featuring renditions of Bohemian Rhapsody in languages that made human ears bleed, in a good way mostly. As the games progressed, it became clear that humanity's greatest export wasn't its technology or its memes, but its ability to find joy and humor in the absurd. Species that had been at war for millennia found themselves bonding over the shared experience of trying to understand the rules of cricket, a task that proved challenging even with universal translators. Midway through the second week, a minor diplomatic crisis erupted when the sentient black hole from the synchronized swimming team accidentally consumed part of the stadium. The situation was quickly defused when someone made a joke about it being a hole-in-one, leading to an impromptu golf tournament featuring wormholes as courses. Admiral Oren, watching the chaos unfold with a mixture of pride and resignation, turned to Dr. Kai. "You know, when we first ventured into space, I thought our mission was to explore strange new worlds." Dr. Kai nodded, sipping on a beverage that changed color and flavor with each quantum fluctuation. Oren gestured to the scene before them, where a group of tentacled beings were attempting to perform the Macarena while a holographic MC Hammer provided encouragement. "Instead, we've turned the galaxy into the universe's biggest, weirdest party." As the games entered their final days, a peculiar trend emerged. Species across the galaxy began adopting traits they found admirable in others. Stoic rock beings started telling jokes, while traditionally whimsical gas clouds developed a passion for bureaucratic efficiency. It was as if the entire cosmos had decided that diversity wasn't just about accepting differences, but about embracing them and making them your own. On the closing night of the Olympics, as fireworks in impossible colors lit up the sky and beings from across the universe joined hands, tentacles, or probability fields in a moment of unprecedented unity, Admiral Oren felt a lump in his throat. "We did it, Dr. Kai," he said softly. "We really did it." Dr. Kai, her eyes shimmering with starlight and unshed tears, nodded. "We showed the galaxy how to laugh at itself, Admiral. And in doing so, we taught it how to love itself, too." As the ceremony concluded with a rendition of "We Are the Champions" performed by a choir of 1,000,000 voices in 1,000,000,000 languages, the message was clear. Humanity hadn't just joined the galactic community. It had transformed it, infusing the cosmos with a spirit of joy, creativity, and utterly glorious madness. And somewhere in the great beyond, the spirits of every dreamer, explorer, and visionary who had ever looked up at the stars and imagined a grander future nodded in approval. The galaxy had found its sense of humor, and it was beautifully, chaotically human. As the last notes faded away, replaced by the gentle hum of a universe forever changed, Admiral Oren and Dr. Kai shared a smile. The adventure was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. After all, there was a whole multiverse out there, just waiting to learn how to meme. If you appreciated the story and wish to show your support, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Additionally, for each comment containing 88, I will heart every single one. Thank you for your time.